Suns. Hello everyone, let's have more news about the Miami Heat, but first don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. The Phoenix Suns are ready to move on from Kevin Durant soon as possible. That means the Miami Heat will know within days if Durant is Pat Riley's next whale landing. According to Jake Fisher of the Steinline, the Suns are quickly trying to make a deal. Fisher wrote, "Multiple people with knowledge of Durant's situation, meanwhile, have indicated in recent days that Phoenix indeed intends to trade the NBA's number 8 all-time leading scorer no later than the NBA draft on June 25th, and preferably sooner. The Heat are high on the Durant trade list because they have plenty of assets to offer. They could work out a deal without having to give up All-Stars Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro. This would allow them to have a big three of Durant, Adebayo, and Herro. Even at 36, Durant is still one of the elite scorers in the league. Last year, he averaged 26.6 points. Fisher wrote, "The Heat can send various starting-level players to Phoenix. Andrew Wiggins and Duncan Robinson stand out as two notables, and have 3 tradable first-round picks. Number 20 later this month, in addition to first-rounders in 2030 and 2032. Minnesota, by comparison, can only offer the number 17 pick in this month's draft to Phoenix." Now let's go to another video. Don't forget to leave a like.
Grizzlies, the deal that went down between the Red Sox and Giants, we're going to get to in just a couple of minutes here, is Rafael Devers is a member of the San Francisco Giants. NBA Finals Game 5 tonight here on ESPN Radio. And through all of that, we are officially on KD watch. Kevin Durant, as it seems like, CC, Small's back with us tomorrow. All signs pointing to this deal between Kevin Durant and the Suns going somewhere, getting done over the next, 24, 48, 72 hours, pre-draft, it seems like. And Shams Charania, our senior NBA insider, reported over the weekend that the 3 teams that KD is eyeing in this order based on his reporting, I don't know if this is actually the rankings, but the Heat, the Rockets, and the Spurs. When you heard that report from Shams, you thought what relative to the title contention of those 3 teams if they were to add KD?
Why the hell the Knicks ain't on that list? If they were in the business of trying to trade for Kevin Durant at the deadline last season, why are the Knicks not on this list?
So your initial thought was who's not on the list more than who is on the list?
Yes.
So let me just walk through this out for a second.
Go for it.
You hear Heat, Spurs, Rockets. You mess with me about my fandom about the Heat. I know how you actually feel about them.
Yeah.
None of those 3 teams surprise you. Spurs and Rockets have the assets to get whoever they want. Heat, are going to be all in on the stars.
The Heat have an asset, too. It's called South Beach.
I'm going to keep that as one word. That's interesting, though, that your initial thought is, wait a minute, where's the other teams? Where are the other teams? Is it just the Knicks, or was there another team?
No, it was just the Knicks. I understand at this point in his career, he's going to be choosy, right? Kevin Durant is going to be 37 years old. So he wants to put himself in a situation where he can compete for a championship. And we've talked ad nauseum on this show about him trying to find a basketball home when his career is over with. And the next place that he goes is probably going to be his basketball home.
Agreed.
Right? Because it's not going to be Golden State with the way things ended there. It's not going to be Oklahoma City. So where's his it's not going to be Phoenix. So
not going to be Brooklyn.
So it's not going to be Brooklyn. So where's his basketball home going to be? Presumably the next stop. So I understand why KD is going to be choosy when it comes to his next destination. The surprise to me is why the New York Knicks are not on this list. Now, none of our guys had it, but there has been some reporting around the KD situation this weekend saying that the only reason why the Knicks are not on his list of preferred destinations is because the New York Knicks made it clear that they ain't going to be in the Kevin Durant business this summer. And I don't know why on God's green earth the New York Knicks wouldn't be interested in KD.
What's your guess? If you had to guess.
I'm assuming it's the age and the timeline of it all, but why does that matter when you start talking about the window that the Knicks have with the Boston Celtics out of commission?
Yeah, the timeline.
Why would that matter?
It doesn't. You're 100% right. The timeline, here's the timeline. Any person and player that can help you right now.
Yeah.
I don't care how old. If you believe whoever the youngest player in the league is can help you win a title this year, or you believe the oldest player in the league can help you this year, it should not matter because you are looking at a team that was in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. So there's only one more step. It's to get to the finals.
Yeah, but I guess my question to you would be, if it's not age, then what could it be? What could it be? Is it the contract extension that he would want? The 2 years at what, $90, $100 million, whatever it is it that sticker shock?
That's an option.
That sticker shock?
I'll give you two other options.
That's not good enough for me, though, man. Like, New York is one of the most valued franchises in the league. They print money at Madison Square Garden.
So then let's eliminate that as an option. So then I'll give you two other options.
Go ahead.
Option A, which doesn't make sense because Kevin Durant is one of those players that fits in any scheme.
Yes.
They actually don't know what their scheme is because they don't have a coach.
Their scheme is Jalen Brunson.
Okay. Option B.
Well, hold on, no. If you don't know what your scheme is, then how can you take the option of KD off the board?
Well, great point. Great counter. And how also is KD the guy that I think more than even LeBron and more than Steph is the he fits any system guy. What system does Kevin Durant not fit?
He fits every system.
If you're a defense first team, he's a great defender.
He fits every system.
Yeah, so there's no system he doesn't fit. Okay, option B. Personality. People believe Kevin Durant has kind of an aloof personality. I don't care. Right? What is Kevin Durant? By all accounts, including his own, I play basketball, I go home.
Yeah.
How could you not be excited about that? Like, oh, he's not going to be part of the roommates pod? Who cares? He's not a Villanova guy? Who cares? I agree with you. It doesn't make any sense. If you're gonna be an inch away and not interested in Kevin Durant, it makes absolutely no sense to me.
I'm just laughing because Kevin Durant averaged 26 points a game on 50-40 shooting.
He was great last year when he played.
He's phenomenal.
Yeah, he's never been bad.
He's not like
So now the three teams that are mentioned I think are pretty interesting because the Spurs and the Rockets, at any point they want to get this deal done, in my opinion, they can get this deal done. So the question would be, why is it not done with those two? I think there's a few reasons on that. Number one, you have to wonder whether or not those two teams are waiting for something that they deem to be bigger and better. Now, that's hard to imagine something could be bigger and better than Kevin Durant. Yeah. Giannis is right now. And for these two teams, I wonder if they deem Jaylen Brown, if he's available, to be bigger and better. They're just ideas, right?
Can you trade Jaylen Brown to the New York Knicks?
No, I'm talking about the Spurs and the Rockets.
Spurs and Rockets, the Spurs and the Rockets.
Of the listed teams, right?
Yes.
And then the other thing I do wonder is whether or not the fact that the Rockets hold the Suns' picks is being held against them in a way that if the Rockets say, hey, we're going to offer you, I'm making this up, Jalen Green and Jabari Smith, and the Suns keep saying, well, we want our picks back. We want our picks back. And the Rockets say, no, we're giving you good young players. In a way, is it held against them? As the Rockets and Suns will only do the trade if the Suns get their picks back. The other thing is...
Well, here's the thing. The Suns have to be careful here, too. Because the Suns have to move off of Kevin Durant. They have to. They've been getting killed when it comes to the tax. They got to move him. And they're not going to get anything close to what they gave up to get him.
No.
So if
chance.
you're the Phoenix Suns, I understand you want to play hardball. I understand this is the biggest asset that you have, and you've got to try to get as much of a haul as you possibly can. But I don't think this is going to be the type of return that everybody is making it out to be.
No, I agree with you. And the Spurs, are they tentative at all to make this deal for what you said before, which is timeline-wise, which Durant fits any timeline because he's so good.
Yes.
But maybe they say, again, proof of concept with Oklahoma City. I've said all along, I've said this, am I biased? Yes, but I believe he's going to Miami. I've said it all along. I believe it's the most logical for him because it's the one that it's his team, it's his long-term home, it's with a coach that he's played for in the Olympics. I think... I never understood why he didn't go back to Golden State. So once that decision's made, I can see Miami as the one. And it's the East.
Oh, yeah, I'm not going to take Miami off the board. My only question would be, what does that then make Miami? What's going to be around him once they make that deal?
Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero. With the Orlando trade yesterday, you would say, hey, that has to be a top 4 team. But who are you taking out of the top 4? Indiana's going to be there. Cleveland's going to be back. Orlando's going to be back.
Miami would be a top 4 team.
Right. So then you'd be a top 5 or 6 team.
Yeah.
You'd be out of the play-in.
Yeah.
And with the way that team is going, get out of the play-in and then figure it out from there.
Yeah, I would probably have Detroit as that next team, and then I would probably put Miami behind them 6th.
Sure. Yeah. I think that is beyond reasonable.
Yeah. But, I mean, the fact that you're bringing up that possibility, I mean, if that happens, that's just more evidence that the Milwaukee Bucks, if Giannis does want out, have to strongly consider moving off of the most important player in their franchise's history.
I would never do it, obviously, but looking at what happened yesterday with that trade with Desmond Bane,
you got to consider
if he's getting 5 firsts, get me 10. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like, that is an insane amount of picks for a guy that is not Giannis.
Yeah, because if you're in Milwaukee, you realize the Eastern Conference is not that strong, but you're looking up at a lot of teams right now.
Where do you think KD's going to end up? If you had to bet $1. I know your biggest takeaway from the 3 finalists, so to speak, and that doesn't mean they're going to trade him there. They can trade him wherever the heck they want. There's no trade clause or anything like that. My pick is I think he ends up in Miami. Your pick is you want to go mystery team?
No. I like the fit in Miami. For whatever reason, he ends up in Houston. I don't know why. I just think there's a lot of gravitational pull to Houston. I just feel like he ends up in Houston.
Played for Ime Udoka when he was with the Nets.
Yeah, Brooklyn. Yeah, just that connective tissue. I think he ends up in Brooklyn.
All right, coming up.
I mean, I'm not in Brooklyn. He ends up in Houston.
Right, but the connections to Brooklyn matter in that case.
Brooklyn, yeah.
All right, coming up. So you have an Orlando Magic Memphis Grizzlies mega trade yesterday, blockbuster. You have the almost KD blockbuster. You have the JJ Spawn blockbuster the way he finished yesterday. And oh my God, you had a blockbuster in Major League Baseball. We'll get to that next. We're on Sportsmanlike, presented by Progressive Insurance.
The NBA Finals.
Here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. Hope you're doing well out there. I mean, look, man. Orlando Magic, hey, tip of the cap to you guys for going all in. But, man, 4 first-round picks for the third best Grizzly. Desmond Bane's very good. He's very, very good. I don't want to disrespect. I've definitely, I've thought about the Heat, getting into the Desmond Bane game back when the whole Jimmy Butler thing was going. I was like, hey, would they be interested in that? A little flipskis? They obviously had to pick somebody because in this day and age, of picking who you got to pay. The Heat definitely going to face this scenario coming up very, very soon with the Tyler Hero thing. And it's kind of the conundrum they're facing with this whole Kevin Durant thing is they're going to bring in Kevin Durant, give him the big extension. But the Orlando Magic giving up 4 unprotected first-round picks for Desmond Bane. Woo! Just they gave away one, their pick this year, which is, I think, in the teens. They gave away a Suns pick that they had, and then 2 unprotecteds down the road. So, I guess you look at it, if you're the Suns, you're looking for it. Like, I mean, if you're the Magic, you're looking at it like, hey, we only got 2 of these picks are gonna bite us in the ass, right? With the 2028 and a 2030. So I think everybody's got the same reaction. Like, it kind of feels like Rudy Gobert all over again. It's not that he's not a great player, and it's not that he's not, got the ability to score and plays really hard and, definitely adds some more offensive punch that team needs. But you're just sitting there just like, and then it's one of those things that and I feel like this happened with Rudy Gobert. Maybe I'm misremembering, but then that also happened right at the start of the summer. That was the whole Windhorst fingers in the air. And I'm just like, man, and that felt like it just ruined the market right away. And so when you're the Miami Heat and you're sitting here with this Kevin Durant thing or whatever, it's just one of those where I'm just like, I hope this doesn't absolutely nuke negotiations. Yesterday was an interesting day for old Tobes because I was broadcasting Dirty Boxing 2, Dirty Boxing Championship, and I've done their first couple of cards with Mike Perry and Jason Anik, and I was talking with Jason all day. We were kind of hanging out down in Coral Gables at the hangar before the card started, and I said, he goes, you got the Panthers going tonight? I'm like, yep. And I knew, when the Panthers coughed up game 4, I was sitting here and I was a little nervous because I was like, I was upset, but I was more nervous about the idea when I knew that a possible clincher was going to be on Saturday. So while I was definitely crushed, I would prefer the Panthers be hoisting the trophy already. I was in a way like, well, at least I'm not going to miss them winning the Stanley Cup. And then yesterday I got I took a little peeky poo because I put most of my contacts except family on Do Not Disturb, but most of my friends I put on Do Not Disturb as the broadcast was going on. But I still had my noties on. And I looked down and I see the Cats were up 2-0. I'm just like, should I put the game cast on? Should I do that? I'm not going to jinx it. I'm not even going to look. But the other thing that happened, and I was joking about this with Jason before we go on the road, I said, you know what's going to happen, dude. I said, here's what's going to happen. I said, it's going to be an incredible Cats game, and I said, and Kevin Durant's going to get traded to the Heat, or is going to get traded, just one way or another. And sure as bleep, as I want to say we got to the main card, and I look down at my phone, and all I see, because mind you, I'm calling fights in front of me, and the fights, there's not a lot of downtime at Dirty Boxing. One of the things they pride themselves on, and one of the things that makes it awesome, calling it just the night flies. It's just fight after fight after. There's no friggin' downtime, right? I think we had 2 5-minute lulls, and it's just as far as fight production and putting on a night. One of the things that sucks the most when you go to cards is you just sit around and nothing happens. And Dirty Boxing, it was just awesome because it's just the night after night. So I don't have any time to look to see what happens outside of a little peeky poo during interviews. When Jason goes in the ring, the fight ends, Jason goes in and he's going to interview somebody, or they're saying and the winner is. But I look down and all I see is just Shams Miami Heat, and I was like, and I see Miami Heat Spurs, and I just see a list of teams. I'm like, oh my god. So I'm really calling this fight, and I'm thinking to myself in the midst of it, just Kevin Durant is going to trade to the Heat, because I just saw Shams Durant Heat with and I think Spurs, and I'm like, but I couldn't read the whole tweet. I was sitting there freaking out here for a second, thinking the Miami Heat had finally pulled the trigger and been able to get Kevin Durant. And, I'm just, and so I'm trying to keep task at hand. And all of a sudden I'm just thinking to myself, man, what the hell's going on here? So finally I get to look down and I see, okay, that's not the trade. Didn't happen yet. I didn't miss it. But it's instead the Miami Heat, San Antonio Spurs, and Houston Rockets are Kevin Durant's preferred destinations. I don't know which report happened first, but there was a report that happened earlier in the day. I think it was earlier in the day from The Athletic that had said that his preferred destinations were just Houston and San Antonio. But now Miami's in the mix. Now, when they say preferred destinations, Shams is saying those are the 3 teams that Durant would commit to signing a long-term extension with. And obviously, I'm sure if the Heat are doing these trade talks, they know because, supposedly Rich Kleiman's in these trade talks. That means that that they know that they're going to be willing to give him a 2-year, I think $122 million extension once he gets here, which of course is, about the amount they bucked to Jimmy Butler, and in fact it's going to go a year later than Jimmy Butler, which is an interesting conundrum. I can understand the fans who were pro Jimmy, and I was a pro pay Jimmy guy. But I will say, while Kevin Durant does miss games, I don't think, even as a guy who was pro giving Jimmy his extension, I think we can all acknowledge, Jimmy Butler's game, when the wheels fall off, they're going to fall off hard, because this is a man who plays the game hard. He will go out there and he will just grind his way to 17 points, but most of it will be 4 shots and having to crash into people and willing his way. And so you do wonder with that. And Jimmy does, when he gets hurt, as you saw in the playoffs, it's a tough recovery for him. And so while Kevin Durant does have lower body stuff that he's going to have to deal with, he's one of got one of the prettiest shots of all time. He's 7 foot tall. There's a grace to his game that Jimmy doesn't have. Now, to be fair to Jimmy, Jimmy has willed his teams very, very far further than Kevin Durant since he's left Golden State. But I understand if we're just talking who would you less be scared about paying? Even if you're not talking about if it didn't come down to, and the Heat never do this, they don't ever pay for pass. They didn't even do it with Dwayne Wade. It is a gamble on who are we gonna get that production for that money, and I just think that it feels like less. I think to them it feels like less of a gamble to give it to Kevin Durant. than it does to Jimmy Butler. And so that's why I think that question's probably already been answered. But I got to be honest with you. It was funny and a little scary seeing Rich Kleiman put a photo out the day this is all going down. Now, this was before the report came out, but there was I guess Jimmy's doing something with PSG, and so they're in France together, and Rich Kleiman puts a photo out of Jimmy Butler and Kevin Durant together, and you're just like, oh no. That was my immediate reaction. Like, I'm just like, oh no, the story. Like, you're gonna have him get on the phone with me and be like, Rich, we're not going to Miami, dude. A lot of people were sitting there, they're like, oh, it's a non-factor. Maybe it is a non-factor, but I'm going to tell you my honest reaction was, well, that's not good. Dude, if you were going to tell me if Kevin Durant's going to spend significant amount of time with one basketball player this offseason, and the last guy, if the Heat were pursuing it, the last guy you would want him being with is Jimmy Butler, going in there and giving all of the dirt on how the Heat were. Now, hey, maybe you know what? Maybe Jimmy Butler gave a lot of high praise to Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo, his guys. But when I saw that picture, I was just like, oh God, oh no. So, man, it's a wild one, but to get back to this deal, people are wondering, like, well, what does this mean? Why does this leak that Kevin Durant and this preferred destination list? Remember the last time Shams gave out an old preferred destination? He had only one on the list, and that was Damian Lillard. Summer blew up. It has been interesting. There's been a lot of Wolves chatter. Knicks has been kind of cool. There's been some Clippers thrown in there, but it has felt very much like the first team that we heard about was the Spurs. Then there was a lot of reports on, things aren't going so hot with them. Then you have the Rockets. So when this comes out, it does feel a little bit like, hey, you're trying. If we go back to the Jimmy Butler talks, remember, there was some chatter, bringing it back to the Desmond Bane thing in the Grizzlies. There was some chatter that Bane was, not Bane, that the Grizzlies were interested in bringing in Jimmy Butler. And then all of a sudden, nope, Jimmy Butler, the only team he wants to go to is Phoenix. Phoenix is the only team. And why? Because they were going to give him the extension. He wouldn't sign, he wasn't going to sign with those other teams, but I don't even think that those teams were interested in giving the extension. The reason why Phoenix was the team the entire time for Jimmy Butler was he knew they had a wink that they were going to give him the extension. And the Warriors weren't his team until the KD thing blew up in their face, and then they all of a sudden were willing to give an extension to Jimmy Butler. So is this a deterrent? Because Kevin Durant's like, hey, I don't want to live in Minnesota. I don't want to live in Toronto. Because people say, oh, Toronto's lurking, Minnesota's lurking. Hey, I don't want to live those places. I want to live in Texas, or I want to live in Miami. He's going to be 37, wants to live out these final years, enjoying his life, I imagine, in some nice weather in a nice town, while also, having a decent basketball situation for himself. So, yeah, maybe when that report comes out, it does shine that somebody was sticking their beak where it don't belong. Is it good for the Miami Heat? Is it bad? I don't know. I mean, look, if you're Durant and this is, you want to talk about, people talk about, what kind of a needle mover is he going to be for the Heat? What kind of a, I think he's going to be very, very positive for the Miami Heat. Would I make the Heat the East favorite right away? No, but weird stuff happens in the playoffs. The Magic are obviously loading up, and people see that window of opportunity that's there. And so I do think there's an element of like, hey, you should probably take this shot if you're a franchise like the Heat. Would I want to give up 2 first-round picks and Jovic and Ware? No, that's too much for me. Am I tolerable to get rid of 1 and 1? Yeah, I think that's a fair deal. I think that's a fair deal. If it came down to Jaquez and one of the bigs and a pick, I think that's a fair deal. I don't think it's a throw the kitchen sink and everything, but I think it's throw some good. Throw some good appliances from the kitchen at Kevin Durant. I think it will do wonders for your best two players. You see what it is, and then look, if it doesn't work out, then you could figure out what the future of Tyler Hero is, what the future of Bam Adebayo is. And are we really going to get to a point? Because we're already talking about, I think I can already see Heat fans are like, maybe we should poke around, see what Bam gets, what Tyler gets. I don't think that option's going anywhere if you're the Miami Heat. I think from my standpoint, yeah, your risk here is, are you giving away a future all-star big? Maybe. I think that we saw a lot of good from him, but I do think that there's still levels that Khalil has to go up for sure. I love him. I'm going to be excited if he's still here. If the Heat can get out of this and he's still on the team, grand slam. I don't think in the way I feel like this is going, I don't feel like they're getting Durant without giving up Khalil Ware, but that's just the sense I get of all of this. And based on how the playoffs ended, and based on Spo trusting veterans over youth, I kind of feel like there's talks in that organization that they want to bring in some more adults who can help win. And because they already have the investment in Bam, they got to decide on Tyler Hero, and you got to decide on Tyler Hero, and you got to really know And I think for Tyler, probably not going to get the extension. I would imagine maybe the Durant, if getting Durant, maybe that makes them more engaged in doing that. But, I think you want to put Tyler also in the best position going into a potential playoff series. But, people who are sitting here, oh, you're going to be a playing team with Kevin Durant. I don't think so, dude. I think that the Heat are going to be pretty rock solid if they bring in KD with this squad. But definitely am wondering, hey, what does the Desmond Bane thing, does this throw a monkey wrench into the whole thing? Does this screw up the market and where things go? And then also, where do the Grizzlies go? Because one could wonder, is there also another pivot move to Morant Durant 2025? Is there a chance? Look, Desmond Bane went for 4 first-round picks, and while he has far less baggage and injury concerns than Ja Morant does, he's not as good as Ja Morant. So I don't know what the hell they would expect for Ja Morant. And so if it's 4 first-round picks, I guess the Heat could kiss that dream goodbye. But if Morant could make a stink and maybe there is that baggage and injury worry and they want to get out. Now, mind you, the Grizzlies do have Jalen Wells. They do have some great young players that they brought along. Edie's going to be hurt, but, so they almost essentially got to give.
Russell Westbrook is officially headed to free agency, and the Miami Heat have emerged as the betting favorites to land the former MVP, according to Sportsbook Bovada. With odds set at plus 60, Miami leads a crowded field of potential suitors that includes the Dallas Mavericks, plus 325, Sacramento Kings, 500, and Golden State Warriors, 750, among others. Westbrook, who just completed his 17th NBA season, declined his $3.5 million player option with the Denver Nuggets for the 2025-26 season. While Denver remains a possibility, reports suggest Westbrook is also interested in joining the Phoenix Suns. This reunion could benefit both veteran guards and give Phoenix a veteran boost alongside their core. The fit makes sense for both sides. The Heat are coming off a disappointing season after trading Jimmy Butler mid-year, and they are in need of a veteran presence with championship experience and edge. Westbrook, though no longer the athletic force he was at his peak, remains one of the most competitive and energetic players in the league. He averaged 13.3 points, 4.9 rebounds, and 6.1 assists last season with the Nuggets, helping them reach the Western Conference semifinals before falling to the Oklahoma City Thunder in a grueling 7-game series. Despite playing through multiple ligament tears in his right hand, Westbrook was still effective off the bench and in spot starts. He underwent surgery following the season but has already made it clear he's preparing for a full return. The Heat could be the perfect stage for that comeback. With their culture of toughness, discipline, and work ethic, often referred to as Heat culture, Westbrook's relentless motor and emotional intensity could thrive. He'd also have the opportunity to play alongside Bam Adebayo and a core of young shooters, providing leadership and playmaking in the backcourt. And you, fan, what do you think about Russell Westbrook's situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.